नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णविस्तृतितरे प्रभुपादचिप्रिय श्रीगिरिराजाय स्वामिने सुभक्तररासबिहारीधं भक्तिर्यस्यात्मदायिने नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णविस्तृतितरे श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदेवतां Hare Krishna. Okay, so we're going to complete this chapter, all right? There are 30 verses. All right, so you can read this.
Chapter 10. The battle between the demigods and Vatasur. As described in this chapter, after Indra obtained the body of Dadachi, a thunderbolt was prepared from Dadachi's bone and a fight took place between Vratasur and the demigods. Following the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demigods approached Dadachi Muni and begged for his body. Dadachi Muni, just to hear from the demigods about the principles of religion, jokingly refused to relinquish his body. But for higher purposes, he thereafter agreed to give it up after for after death the body is usually eaten by low animals like dogs and jackals. Dadachi Muni first merged his gross body made of 5 elements into the original stock of 5 elements and then engaged his soul at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus he gave up his gross body. With the help of Vishwakarma, the demigod then prepared a thunderbolt from Dadachi's bones. Armed with thunderbolt weapon, they prepared themselves to fight and got up on the back of elephants. At the end of Satyug and the beginning of Treta Yuga, a great fight took place between the demigods and asuras. Unable to tolerate the effulgence of the demigod, the asuras fled the battle, leaving Vritasur, their commander in chief, to fight for himself. Vritasur, however, seeing the demons fleeing, instructed them in the importance of fighting and dying in the battlefield. One who is victorious in battle gains material possessions, and one who dies in the battlefield attains a residence at once in the celestial heavens. In either way, the fighter benefits.
So, text 1. श्रीबदरायणेरुवाच इदमेवं समाधिश्य भगवान् विश्वभावनः पश्यतामनिमेषानं तत्रैवान्तर्दधे हरिः. Shri Shukadev Goswami said, after instructing Indra in this way, the Supreme Person Godhead Hari, the cause of the cosmic manifestation, then and there disappeared from the presence of the onlooking demigods. So that's the difference between being a deva praying for something, so Krishna comes and then he goes away, right? Whereas devotees want to be eternally in the presence of the Lord, right? So here we are asking for this. So he came and then he left. We don't want him, right? We only want something from him. So he gives and then he goes away. Hmm? So we should be very careful with our deity worship. But we shouldn't just worship him because we want something, right? Then he won't stay, right? That's what they do everywhere, right? They call the deva, they do some puja, then send him away or send her away. Anyway, so it's not very high class text. तथाभियाचितो देवैर्ऋषिरथावनो महान् मोदमाना उवाचेदं रहस्यमिव भारतः. O King Parikshit, following the Lord's instructions, the demigods approached Dadichi, the son of Atharva. He was very liberal, and when they begged him to give them his body, he at once partially agreed. However, just to hear religious instructions from them, he smiled and jokingly spoke as follows: Prahasan. अपि वृन्दारकायूयं न जानीथा शरीरिणां संस्थायं यस्त्वभिद्रुहो दुःसहश्चेतनापः. O elevated demigods, at the time of death, severe. Now let's look at all this. You know this. At the time of death, severe, unbearable pain takes away the consciousness of all living entities who have accepted material bodies. Don't you know about this pain? Hmm? Right? So they give drugs, no? They give drugs so that the person doesn't feel so much pain. Text 4. जिजीविषूणां जीवानाम् आत्मा प्रेष्ठा इहेप्सितः का उत्सहेत तं दातुं भिक्षमाणाय विष्णवे. In this material world, every living entity is very much addicted to his material body. Struggling to keep his body forever, everyone tries to protect it by all means, even at the sacrifice of all his possessions. Therefore, who would be prepared to deliver his body to anyone, even if were demanded by Lord Vishnu? Right? You can give everything. Krishna comes and says, give me your body, will you give? Right? So through the agent, like Vishnu did not come directly and say, give me your body. So the Devas said, Lord Vishnu said. Right? Don't we do that all the time? You know, Father said, Guru said, right? And the person who is supposed to be the giver is thinking, oh, why did he ask me? Right? Purport. It is said, Atmanam sarvato rakshat tato dharmam tato dhanam. One must protect his body by all means. Then he may protect his religious principles and thereafter his possessions. This is the natural desire of all living entities. No one wants to give up his body unless it is forcibly given away. Unless it is forcibly given away. Even though the demigods say that they were demanding Dadichi's body for their benefit in accordance, my God, in accordance with the order of Lord Vishnu, Dadichi superficially refused to give them his body. Right? So he said, they're saying, we are not asking. It is Vishnu who said you should give us your body, right? Which is true, right? Where would they get such an idea, right? Text 5. So here Prabhupada says that one must protect his body by all means, right? We all do that. As soon as we are sick, we give up everything, all seva we give up, right? We say, I'm sick. Don't we all do it? I'm sick. So actually my dharma, so one must protect his body by all means. Then he may protect his religious principles, right? Say, I'm sick. I can't chant, I can't do the seva, I can't do so many things we say, right? I'm sick, meaning how to protect the body. When you are well, then okay, now maybe I can do some seva, right? And thereafter his possessions, meaning that we spend our money to protect the body. Text 5. Shrideva uchuhu kim nu tadyustyajam brahman pumsam bhutanukampinam bhavat vidhanam mahatam punya shlokedya karmanam. The demigods replied, O exalted Brahmana, pious persons like you, whose activities are praiseworthy, are very kind and affectionate to people in general. What can such pious souls give for the benefit of others? They can give everything, including their bodies. Oh, exalted Brahmana. pious persons like you, whose activities are praiseworthy, are very kind and affectionate to people in general. So the Devas is saying that if you give your body, the whole world will benefit. Text 6. Nunam swartha paro loko na veda para sankatam yadi veda na yacheta neti nahayat ishvaraha. Those who are too self-interested beg something from others, not knowing of others' pain. But if the beggar knew the difficulty of the giver, he would not ask for anything. Similarly, he who is able to give charity doesn't know the beggar's difficulty, for otherwise he would not refuse to give the beggar anything he might want as charity. Purport. This verse, so we should put a note against all this, right? Beggars, who's giving and who's begging, right? And from whom we are allowed to ask charity. Like this is ordinary. Devotees, they can go anywhere. Anywhere they can go and beg charity, whether the person is wealthy or not, right? We don't only go to wealthy people, we go to everybody, right? But this is ordinary begging. This verse describes two people, one who gives charity and one who begs for it. It happens so many times, like this wealthy man doesn't care a fig about your book, but the poor person, right, he takes your book, right? He has nothing, but still, he sees you, okay, he's interested, and he will give away his money for this book. So one who gives charity and one who begs for it. A beggar should not ask charity from a person who is in difficulty. Right? So if somebody is poor, then we should not ask charity from him. So this is rule number one. Similarly, one who is able to give charity should not deny a beggar. These are the moral instructions of the Shastra. If you have, we should always give.
Should we give to the beggar?
Sorry?
Should we give to the
We should give prasad, no?
beggar?
Should always carry prasad with us. These are the moral instructions of the Shastra. Chanakya Pandit says, Samnimite varam tyago vinashaniyate sati. Everything within this material world will be destroyed, and therefore one should use everything for good purposes. If one is advanced in knowledge, he must always be prepared to sacrifice anything for a better cause. At the present moment, the entire world is in a dangerous position under the spell of godless civilization. The Krishna consciousness movement needs many exalted, learned persons who will sacrifice their lives to revive God consciousness throughout the world. We therefore invite all men and women advanced in knowledge to join the Krishna consciousness movement and sacrifice their lives for the great cause of reviving the God consciousness of human society. So here, the Dichi was asked, give your body, and Prabhupada is telling all of us, give your body, right? Sacrifice your body to preach. Well, beggars are, like I say, it's not just beggars, asking for some money, I mean, your servants always asking, right? Always asking. So what do you give them? So we give them, not in terms of money, we give them, we sponsor them. That was the method. I just saw one video. So it was, I mean, it's exactly what Prabhupada says, how you become poor, how you become poor. So it was these two boys who were in the village. So one boy came to the city, the other one stayed in the village. So the one who came in the city, so he started investing in stock markets, right? So, and meaning that everything was digital, right? All your wealth is digital. digital, and then when the whole calamity is coming, everything in front of his eyes, everything is going, and he's lost everything. So he called his friend. He said he's going to come to take a visit in the village. And that man, he has become very wealthy, stable, right? So, so this, so this person, it's like, so it's actually, I think, a teacher in economics who was making this story, you know, a teacher in economics. So he was saying, where's your wealth, right? It's what Prabhupada said. It's in the land. Then you have land, you can produce. Then where next? Then in gold, real gold. So he's explaining what Prabhupada's, explain, that it's false money. You have a paper against gold, whereas you have actual gold. Then, okay, a little bit you put in stock market. And then something, the whole point finally where it came down to when everything is over. How will you? So that one person is saying that nobody is poor, nobody is rich. He said it's just a question of where the wealth shifts. Where the wealth shifts, and you need to know where the wealth shifts. So then he showed that you come down to this point to barter system. You need something. I have fruits in my garden, right? I have fruits. And what do you need? You need some utensils. So I make the utensil, you give me fruits. So it's so meaning there's no money in between. So nobody's rich, nobody's poor. You get what you need, right? So anyway, I don't know how I thought of this stuff, about this charity begging. Yeah. Nobody's a beggar, all right? Nobody is a beggar because you're bartering, right? The great sage Sri Rishiruvacha Dharmam va Shrotu Kamena Yuyam me Pratyudaharitaha Esha va Prayam Atmanam Tyajantam Shantyajamiyaham. The great sage Dadichi said, just to hear from you about religious principles, I refuse to offer my body at your request. Now, although my body is extremely dear to me, I must give it up for your better purposes since I know that it will leave me today or tomorrow. Right? So that's why I think it is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, while you're alive, right? While you're breathing, you're alive. Preach, spread the holy name around, because anyway that body is going to be given. Leave me today or tomorrow, it will leave me. So the Acharya is saying, use it in Krishna's service. Text 8. Yodruvenatmana natha na dharman na yasha puman thita bhuta dayaya sashochya sthavarerapi. O demigods, one who has no compassion for humanity in its suffering and does not sacrifice his impermanent body for the higher causes of religious principles or eternal glory is certainly pitied even by the immovable beings. In this regard, a very exalted example was set by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Concerning Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.34. त्यक्त्वा सुदुष्ट्यजसुरेप्सितराजलक्ष्मीं धर्मिष्ठ अर्यवचसा यदगात् अरण्यं मायामृदं निगदयिताप्सितम् अन्वधावत् वन्दे महापुरुषते चरणारविन्दम्. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Lord upon whom we should always meditate. He left his householder life, leaving aside his eternal consort, whom even the denizens of heaven adore. He went into the forest to deliver the fallen souls, who are put into illusion by material energy. To accept sannyas means to commit civil suicide, but sannyas is compulsory, at least for every brahmana, every first class human being. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a very young and beautiful wife, and a very affectionate mother. Indeed, the affectionate dealings of his family members were so pleasing that even the demigods could not expect such happiness at home. Everybody think home is so miserable, right? And here Mahaprabhu is absolutely and completely happy. Yet he left. Nevertheless, for the deliverance of all the fallen souls of the world, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas and left home when he was only 24 years old. He lived a very strict life as a sannyasi, refusing all bodily comforts. Similarly, his disciples, the six Goswamis, were ministers who held exalted positions in society, but they also left everything to join the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srinivasa Acharya said, Yatunamasheshamandalapati Shenim sadatu chava Bhutva dina ganeshako karunaya Gopina kanta shritaho. These Goswamis left their very comfortable lives. So they left their comfort zones, okay? They left their very comfortable lives as ministers, zamindar, and learned scholars, and joined Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement just to show mercy to the fallen souls of the world. Dina Ganesha Kau Karunaya, accepting very humble lives as mendicant, wearing no more than loincloths and torn quilts, Kopina Kantha. They lived in Vrindavan and followed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order to excavate Vrindavan's lost glories. Similarly, everyone else with a materially comfortable condition in this world should join the Krishna consciousness movement to elevate the fallen souls. The words Bhutta Dayaya Maya Mridang Dayita Yepshitam and Dina Ganeshako Karunaya all convey the same sense. These are very significant words for those interested in elevating human society to a proper understanding of life. One should join the Krishna consciousness movement following the examples of such great personalities as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswamis, and before them, the great sage Dadichi. Instead of wasting one's life for temporary bodily comforts, one should always be prepared to give up one's life for better causes. After all, the body will be destroyed. Therefore, one should sacrifice it for the glory of distributing religious principles throughout the world. When in ISKCON, I see householders also. The way they preach, like this. They preach many temples, many temples. They're really like dedicated. I'm just speaking of, just sitting armchair and giving orders. No, they are out there. Many devotees, like grihastas. So, temporary bodily comforts. Instead of wasting one's life for temporary bodily comforts, one should always be prepared to give up one's life for better causes. Actually, I'm remembering, Shirodakshai Mataji from Mira Road. I mean, from young age, how much she did. How much she did. It's amazing. Her daughter, she has one daughter. She left when she was still young, actually. I don't know what happened. Yeah, such an example. Text 9. एतवानव्ययो धर्मः पुण्यश्लोकैरुपासितः यो भूतशोकहर्षभ्यम् आत्मशोचति ह्रीशतिः. Yeah, she was doing girls preaching in Mira Road Temple, and then it's as usual, big crowd, and then everything vanished. Big crowd, everything vanished. So what she did, she started going to the schools in those areas. She just went in the schools, and she will cook prasad. She'll herself, she'll collect the funds, all right? She'll collect the funds, and she will herself cook drums of prasadam, and she will distribute, on the field, you know. If one is unhappy to see the distress of other living beings and happy to see their happiness, his religious principles are appreciated as imperishable by exalted persons who are considered pious and benevolent. Purport. One generally follows different types of religious principles or performs various occupational duties according to the body given to him by the modes of material nature. In this verse, however, real religious principles are explained. Everyone should be unhappy to see others in distress and happy to see others happy. What a motto, right? Atmavad sarvabhuteshu. One should feel the happiness and distress of others as his own. It is on this basis that the Buddhist religious principles of non-violence, ahimsa paramas dharma, is established. We feel pain when someone disturbs us, and therefore we should not inflict pain upon other living beings. Lord Buddha's mission was to stop unnecessary animal killing, and therefore he preached that the greatest religious principle is non-violence. One cannot continue killing animals and at the same time be a religious man. Right? I say, I'm religious, and in the name of religion, I'm killing animals. And people do it all the time. Right? This is the greatest hypocrisy. Jesus Christ said, "Do not kill." But hypocrites nevertheless maintain thousands of slaughterhouses while posing as Christians. Such hypocrisy is condemned in this verse. One should be happy to see others happy, and one should be unhappy to see others unhappy. This is the principle to be followed. Unfortunately, at the present moment, so-called philanthropists and humanitarians advocate the happiness of humanity at the cost of the lives of poor animals. That is not recommended herein. This verse clearly says that one should be compassionate to all living entities, regardless of whether human, animal, tree, or plant. All living entities are sons of the Supreme Person of Godhead. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 14.4, Sarva yonishu kunteya murtaya sambhavanti yaha tasam brahma mahat yonir aham bija pradapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. The different forms of these living entities are only the external dresses. Every living being is actually a spirit soul, a part and parcel of God. Therefore, one should not favor only one kind of living being. A Vaishnava sees all living entities as part and parcel of God. Yesterday, one devotee told me how, like in the US, those people who have, illegally entered the country, so what they are doing, they're packing them up and throwing them in unknown places. So get out, just packing them. And she was telling me that they put them in planes and chain them up, right? And just dropping them everywhere. you know. So see, I mean, that's really, like, I was just hearing how they say the Jews, the Parsis and the Jews, for whatever reason, they were persecuted wherever they go. The same thing, like meaning that for whatever they've been thrown out of their country, and so they went to different places, and wherever they went, they were persecuted. Like I'm hearing now what they are doing. They say only two countries never persecuted them: India and China. And say that when their country was okay, then they were sent back with all dignity. They were sent back to their countries, never persecuted, right? Like even India, again, I was hearing, the history of Bombay. Like I always, I mean, because that's what they say everywhere, like people come for job here. But then I heard that when there was war, and then people just came to Bombay. They just overflowed to Bombay. And Bombay is breaking under the pressure of 20 million people, right? 2 crore people. Before this, they say that it was like proper space now. So everybody came, right? I mean, it's just so pathetic. So when there is war in one side, so they overflow, right? Same like East, no? East Bengal. When there was war that side, so they overflowed to the west side, and they went up to northern side also, right? Anyway, so here in saying that, so it's this understanding of giving, of sharing and giving, right? I remember Bhakti Swami, he told us, he says, a generous person is that even on a tamarind leaf, they will still share that space. Even on a what's a tamarind leaf? You have seen it. I think it's not bigger than this, right? So if you have this mentality that everyone is a part and parcel of God, hmm, so Vaishnava sees all living entities as part and parcel of God. So the sharing, on a tamarind leaf, because our anyway, I guess he was speaking in our temple, so it was like so packed. So we say no place, no place, no place. Then he said this. He said that uh, if you have the mood of sharing, even on a tamarind leaf, 2% can stay. The Lord said in Bhagavad Gita 5.18 and 18.54, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shunichaiva Shapakecha Pandita Shamadarshinaha. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater outcasts. Brahmabhuta prasanatma na shochati na kanchati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. One who is transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. A Vaishnava, therefore, is truly a perfect person because he laments to see others unhappy and feels joy at seeing others happy. A Vaishnava is para dukha dukhi. He is always unhappy to see the conditioned souls in an unhappy state of materialism. Therefore, a Vaishnava is always busy preaching Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Text 10. Aho dhyayam aho kashtam parakhyakshana bhangure Yannupakkuriyat ashvarthet martyo swagyati vigrahe. This body which is eatable by jackals and dogs after death does not actually do any good for me, the spirit soul. It is usable only for a short time and may perish at any moment. The body and its possessions, its riches and relatives must all be engaged for the benefit of others, or else they will be sources of tribulation and misery. Right? Similar advice is also given in Shrimad Bhagavatam. Itavach janma safalyam dihinamiha dehishu praneradhyadhiha vacha shreya acharanam sada. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. This is so important. We always speak about this. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life. Praner, meaning first, offer your life. If you can't offer your life, then offer your wealth. If you don't have wealth, then offer your intelligence, right? Meaning you can devise some plan, how to preach, etc. You don't have, at least speak something, right? Words. So this is the mission of life. One's own body and the bodies of his friends and relatives, as well as one's own riches and everything else one has, should be engaged for the benefit of others. This is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like I was reading about this extended family, which is reducing. So describe that the extended family mean, different people have different karmas, right? So joint family means that uh, everything, it's like a wealth. It's a common wealth, right? So meaning that whoever's earning, whoever's able, they support the others. So they join together so that somebody else. And this is a very good system because it makes one person humble, right? You make one person humble. It makes one person become generous, right? And then that injunction is saying that we should not only give to blood relatives, right? Say no. This maintaining others should not only be your family members, if it's a family, then I will maintain. If it's not a family, then I will not maintain. So the injunction is that we should be giving to others. So that's how this phrase, right? Vasudevam Kutumbakam. You have to consider the entire world. Your kutumba, not only those who are born in the same family. So this is the point here. One's own body and the bodies of his friends and relatives, as well as one's own riches and everything else one has, should be engaged for the benefit of others. This is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, RD 9.41. भारत भूमिते हैला मनुष्य जन्मयार जन्म सार्थक करी करा para upakar. One who has taken birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharat Varsh, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. The word upakuriyat means para upakar, helping others. Of course, in human society, there are many institutions to help others, but because philanthropists do not know how to help others, their propensity for philanthropy is ineffectual. They do not know the ultimate goal of life, Shreya Acharanam, which is to please the Supreme Lord. If all philanthropic and humanitarian activities were directed towards achieving the ultimate goal of life. To please the Supreme Person Godhead, they would all be perfect. Humanitarian work without Krishna consciousness is nothing. Krishna must be brought to the center of all our activities. Otherwise, no activity will have value. So this one person is a business coach. So he was speaking about, how we move from, struggle to survival to stable, then you are successful and you become an empire, right? So he said that when you become like stable, I think stable, yeah, successful, stable to successful, meaning now you have something, right? So he said, then what do people do? So now they have free time because their companies that depending on them, so they have free time. So he said that what do they do? So they do social functions. They want to do, like Prabhupada is speaking here, philanthropic and humanitarian activities. So he said, but what do? It's a social organization, but then they get into politics, right? They get into politics and they get into criticizing and God knows what else they do, right? And all this happened because they forget Krishna. Their social organization doesn't have a spiritual target, doesn't have a spiritual objective, a spiritual goal. So they do humanitarian work, but Prabhupada is saying their activity have no value, so they end up, gossiping, criticizing, and politicking, right? Text 11. श्रीबदरायनिरुवाचः एवं कृतव्यवसितो दध्यम् अथर्वणस्तनुं परे भगवती ब्रह्मण्य atmanam sanayam jaho. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, Dadhichi Muni, the son of Atharva, thus resolved to give his body to the service of the demigods. He placed himself, the spirit soul, at the lotus feet of the Supreme Person of Godhead, and in this way gave up his gross material body made of 5 elements. You can read. This is all philosophical.
Purport, as indicated by the words Pare Bhagavati Brahmane Atmanam Sanayan, Dadiji placed himself as spirit soul at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this regard, one may refer to the incident of Dhritarashtra's leaving his body as described in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.13.55. Dhritarashtra analytically divided his gross material body into 5 different elements of which it was made: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and distributed them to the different reservoirs of these elements. In other words, he merged these 5 elements into the original Mahat Tattva. By identifying his material conception of life, he gradually separated his spirit soul from material connections and placed himself at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The example given in this connection is that when an earthen pot is broken, the small portion of the sky within the pot is united with the large sky outside the pot. Mayavadi philosophers misunderstand this description of Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, Sri Ramanuja Swami, in his book Vedant Tattvasara, has described that this merging of the soul means that after separating himself from the material body made of 8 elements earth, water, fire, air, ether, false ego, mind, and intelligence, the individual soul engages himself in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his eternal form. ईश्वर परम कृष्णाय सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनादिर अदिर गोविंद सर्व कारण कारणम. The material cause of the material elements absorbs the material body, and the spiritual soul con- assumes his assumes its original position. As described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jevera Swarupa Haya Kishnara Nityadasa. The constitutional position of the living entity is that he is the eternal servant of Krishna. When one overcomes the material body through cultivation of spiritual knowledge and devotional service, one can revive his own position and thus engage in the service of the Lord.
Yes, sir. Asthate paramam yogam naida babuda gattam. Translation: Dadachi Muni controlled his senses, life force, mind, and intelligence, and became absorbed in trance. Thus, he cut all his material bonds. He could not perceive how his material body became separated from his self. Purport: The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 8.5, Antakalecha mama eva smaran muktava kalevaram yaha prayati samadbhavam yati naste atra samsayah. Whoever at the time of death quit his body, remembering me alone at one, attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Of course, one must practice before one is overcome by the death, but the perfect yogi, namely the devotee, dies in trance, thinking of Krishna. He does not feel his material body being separated from his soul. The soul is immediately transferred to the spiritual world. Tyakteva, Tyaktava Deham Punarjanama Neti Mame Eti. The soul does not enter the womb of a material mother again, but is transferred back home, back to Godhead. This yoga, Bhakti Yoga, is the highest yoga system as explained by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita 6.47. Yoginam api sarve sam mad gati namantram श्रद्धावं भजते यो मम सा मे युक्तं matah. Of all yogis, he who allows abides in me with great faith, worship me. Transcendental loving service is most intimately, ultimately with me, and yoga and is the highest of all. The Bhakti Yoga always thinks of Krishna, and therefore, at the time of death, he can very easily transfer himself to Krishna without even perceive this pain of death.
निर्मतं विश्वकर्मणा मुने शक्तिभिरुत्तिष्ठतो भगवत्तेजान्विता मतो देवा गणे सर्वे गजेन्द्रोपरि अशोभन् स्तूयमानो मुनिगणैः त्रैलोक्यं हर्षयन्नेव. Translation by Divine Grace Prabhupada. Thereafter, King Indra very firmly took up the thunderbolt manufactured by Vishwakarma from the bones of Dadichi. Charged with the exalted power of Dadichi Muni, enlightened by the power of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Indra rode on the back of his carrier Airavata, surrounded by all the demigods, while all the great sages offered him praise. Thus he shone very beautifully, pleasing the three worlds as he rode off to skill Vatsasura. यदवक्षतु असुरनिकालितापते परिष्यतयोजसा राजन् क्रोधो रुद्रायमान्तकम्. Translation: My dear King Parikshit, as Rudra, being very angry as at Antaka, Yamraj had formerly run towards Antaka to kill him, and Indra angrily with great force attacked Vratasur, who was surrounded by the leaders of demonic armies. Tatas तथा सुराणाम् आसुरे रणप्रमादारुणा त्रेतामुखे नर्मदायाम् अभवत् प्रथमे युगे. Translation. Thereafter, at the end of Satyug and the beginning of Treta Yuga, a fierce battle took place between the demigods and demons on the bank of Narmada. Purport. Here in Narmada does not mean Narmada river in India. The five sacred rivers in India, Ganga, Yamuna, Narmada, Kaveri and Krishna, are all celestial. Like the Ganges river, the Narmada river also flows in the higher planetary system. The battle between the demigods and a demon took place in the higher planets. The words Prathame Yuge means in the beginning of the first millennium. That is to say, in the beginning of Vevaswata Manu Mantra. In one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus who each live for 71 millennium. The four yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, constitute 1 millennium. We are presently in the Manmantar of Vivaswata Manu, who is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Imam Vivaswate Yogam, Proktavan Aham Avyayam, Vivaswan Mane Prahu. We are now in the 28th millennium of Vivaswat Muni, but this fight took place in the beginning of Vivaswat Manu's first millennium. One can historically calculate how long ago the battle took place, since each millennium consists of 4,300,000 years, and we are now in the 28th millennium. Some 120,400,000 years have passed since the battle took place on the bank of river Narmada. देवशुभिरदित्य अश्विभ्यान् पितृवहनभिः मारुद्भिरुभधि साध्वे विश्वदेवैर्मरुत्पतिं दृष्ट्वा वज्रधरं शाक्रं रोमां स्वये श्रिया नमस्यन् असुरा राजन् वृथा Translation. O king, when all the asuras came onto the battlefield, headed by Vratasur, they saw King Indra carrying the thunderbolt and surrounded by Rudras, Vashus, Aditis, Ashwini Kumaras, Pitas, Vahanis, Maruts, Vibhush, Sadhyas, and Vishwadevas. Surrounded by his company, Indra shone so brightly that his effulgence was intolerable to the demons. Sambara Marva Devumati Shapsiva Hayagrita Sankushina Viprachitir Ayomukha Puloma Vrasaparvacha Prahatir Hitir Utkala Dete Danav Yaksha Rakshamshi Cha Saharshita Sumati Mali Pramukha Tarato Saparichita Prati Satyanandra Senagram Mitrurapi Durasadam Abhyartayan Asabharta Simhanade Durmata Tadhapi Parikarbane Prasa Mudgarato. Translation. Many hundred and thousands of demons, demi-demons, yakshas, rakshas, man-eaters, and others headed by Somali and Mali resisted the armies of King Indra, which even death personified cannot easily overcome. Among the demons were Namuchi, Sambhara, Anarva, Dvimurdha, Rishabs, Asura, Haigriva, Sankushira, Viparchiti, Ayomukha, Puloma, Vrashparva, Praheti, Heti, and Utkala. Roaring tumultuously and fearlessly like lions, these invincible demons, all dressed in golden ornaments, gave pain to the demigod with weapons like clubs, blood guns, arrows, barbed darts, bonnets, and lances.
खंडभर सत्याग्रे गिरीन्विनी उद्वश्वसते सर्वतो व्यक्तरं शास्त्र्य हस्तरश्च विधिभविष्यते. Translation. Armed with lances, tridents, axes, swords, and other weapons like Satagignis, and Busunidis, the demons attacked from different directions and scattered all the chiefs of the demigod armies. न चैते तिष्ठन्त सचञ्चना सराजल्ये समहतः पुनःखमपतिते सेमा नभो गणिः. Translation: As the stars in the sky cannot be seen when covered by dense clouds, the demigods, being completely covered by networks of arrows falling upon them one after another, could not be seen. न चे शास्त्रदर्शङ्गा हे असिदासुरसैनिकन् छिन्नाय सिद्धपथे देव्य लघुहस्तेन सर्षदा. Translation: The showers of various weapons and arrows released to kill the soldiers of the demigods did not reach them, because the demigods, acting quickly, cut the weapons into thousands of pieces in the sky. अथ चरणस्य स्वस्त्यां गिरिशृङ्गरदमुकुल अभ्यावर्षन् सुराबालं च ते तमस्तव च पूर्वतत्. Translation: As their weapons and mantras decreased, the demons began showering mountain peaks, trees, and stones upon the demigod soldiers. But the demigods were so powerful and expert that they nullified all these weapons by breaking them to pieces in the sky as before. तन्नाक्षान्तान् स्वतिथिमपो निशायं शास्त्रसर्वोर्गे अथ वीर्तनाथन् दुरुमैर्दिशाद्भिर्विविधैर्षिङ्गैः अविकष्टातं समस्तस्य इन्द्रसैनिकन्. Translation: When the soldiers of the demons, commanded by Vrittasura, saw that the soldiers of King Indra were quite well, having not been injured at all by their volleys of weapons, not even by the trees, stones, and mountain peaks, the demons were very much afraid. सर्वे प्रयासविविन्मुमोघ कृतादेव गणेषु दैत्य कृष्णानकुलेषु यथा महेषु शूद्रै प्रवक्ता उषितस्मैव वाच. Translation: When insignificant persons use rough words to cast false, angry accusations against saintly persons, their fruitless words do not disturb the great personalities. Similarly, all the efforts of the demons against the demigods, who were favorably instituted under the protection of Krishna, were futile. Purport: There is a Bengali saying that if a vulture curses a cow to die, the curse will not be effective. Similarly, accusations made by demonic persons against devotees of Krishna cannot have any effect. The demigods are devotees of Lord Krishna, and therefore the curses of the demons were futile.
They say Utaham nirkesha harav abhikta hatayudadarpa palayanashti mukheve shreja patim manaste dada. Translation: Asuras, who are never devotees of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, lost their pride in fighting when they found all the endeavor futile. Leaving aside their leader even in the very beginning of the fight, they decided to flee because all their prowess had been taken away by the enemy. Vritosura प्रधावता परिकृष्टप्रश्न पलयात्यं प्रेक्ष्य भयेन तीव्रा. Seeing his army broken and all the asuras, even those known a great dist- heroes fleeing the battlefield of the intense fear, Vritasura, who was truly a great minded hero, smiled and spoke the following words: कलूपमपारुच्यां जगदावचां हि विपृच्छता नमोचे पुलमं मायानं चम्बारहम्. Translation: according to his position at the time and circumstances, Vritrasura, the hero among heroes, spoke words that were much to be appreciated by thoughtful men. He called to the heroes of the demons, O Vibrach- Viparchati, Viprachati, O Namuchaya, Namuche, O Pulumal, O Maya, Anaya, and Sambharal, please hear me and do not flee.
जातस्य मृत्युः ध्रुव एव सर्वतः प्रतिक्रिया यस्य मे चेह क्लिप्ता यस्याश्चात् ततो यादीयामुं को नाम मृत्युं न वृणीतयुक्तम्. Vritrasura said, all living entities who have taken birth in this material world must die. Surely no one in this world has found any means to be saved from death. Even Providence has not provided a means to escape it. Under the circumstances, death being inevitable, if one can gain promotion to the higher planet systems and be always celebrated here by dying a suitable death, what man will not accept such a glorious death? Purport: if by dying one can be elevated to the higher planetary systems and be ever famous after his death, who is so foolish that he will refuse such a glorious death? Similar advice was also given by Krishna to Arjun. My dear Arjun, the Lord said, do not desist from fighting. If you gain victory in the fight, you will enjoy a kingdom, and even if you die, you will be elevated to the heavenly planets. Everyone should be ready to die while performing glorious deeds. A glorious person is not meant to meet death like cats and dogs. Dvo sammata iha mrityudurapho yad brahma sandharanaya jitasyuhu kalevaram yogarato vijahya yad agrinirvirashaye nivrittaha. There are two ways to meet a glorious death, and both are very rare. One is to die after performing mystic yoga, especially bhakti yoga, by which one can control the mind and living force and die absorbed in thought of the Supreme Person Godhead. The second is to die on the battlefield, leading the army and never showing one's back. These two kinds of death are recommended in the Shastra as glorious. All right. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 6th canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Battle Between the Demigods and Vritrasura. So we have completed this chapter. Hare Krishna. So let us see now what happens next. It's not finishing. One minute, just.